Agat, I think you can start.
Okay, thanks. Abi, you can hear us? Okay, so welcome to the breakout room. I think many people have somebody still joining us, but we are already quite a number of interested participants. So, yes, we have heard a lot of information about the program, about the programs, and about policy initiatives already from UNIMAP side, from UFM. Now, in this breakout room is the opportunity to discuss in a more interactive way. What we can do. I am Christoph Meyer from the Euro-MED program and my colleague Agat,
Hi.
and we are trying to bring a little bit um, the Euro-MED side to this breakout room. Then we have participants from Plan Bleu, of course, they are also interlinked to the mission, as they are participating also in the mission that has been presented, Natural Heritage, and from Union for Mediterranean. I don't want to take too much time. Just what I have checked in advance was just to ask a little bit how it's going to continue with natural heritage in the Mediterranean. So, in whatever direction I looked, it doesn't seem to get boring for us because climate change will continue to trouble us for, I think, for the future that we can all imagine now. I still remember a time in not so long ago that we thought that we can avoid climate change. So we are in this setting that seems so natural for us now that we have to cope with climate change. Is historically it's still not so long actually. It's perhaps something like 20 years or so that we are in this logics. We have seen also most of the topics that our projects that have been presented before by Katerina. They will be on the agenda also in the future. We will probably continue to talk about heat waves. We will, for example, coastal erosion will continue to keep us busy. Biodiversity loss, you name it. We have threat of 90% of all assessed species around the Mediterranean that are at risk of disappearance, forest fires, endangered Posidonia meadows. So all the topics that have been already, we have not discussed in detail, but that have already been mentioned, they will probably continue to keep us busy. We have some positive things, but for example, overfishing, the pressure has been a little bit reduced. But in general, this is a setting that continues to be our work. So perhaps I let Agat a little bit point out what our program has been done so far and how we have tried to adapt to the evolution of of this context.
So, hello everyone. I just would like to place the Interreg Euro-MED program in a global European and Mediterranean context that is increasingly focused on protecting biodiversity and the resilience of territories in the face of growing challenges. So the program's architecture is part of a broader political framework consistent with the priority of the Union, in particular the European Green Deal and the Territorial Agenda 2030, but also with the Sustainable Goals Development from the United States Nation. And it is on this basis that the thematic communities have been designed. They aim to respond to the concrete challenges faced by the Mediterranean territories, working closely with local, regional, and national stakeholders. Furthermore, the Mediterranean political and regulatory framework has gradually been enriched over the years. And faced with the intensification of climate and environmental issues, it has become essential for projects to integrate this evolution in order to develop relevant solutions adapted to local context. So this introduction will allow us to open thematic session where governance projects will be able to present a policy framework specific to the Natural Heritage Mission and engage in dialogue with stakeholders on the concrete impact of the solution developed within the mission and on how the policy recommendation developed could have a greater impact. So we have with us a representative from the Union for Mediterranean, Cristina Cardenete, and maybe also a representative from the Interreg Euro-MED Programme, which is also operating around the Mediterranean region, including the south. So if you have anything to add before handing over to Plan Bleu, please feel free.
No, then I guess we can start.
Yes.
Just sharing my screen and handing over to my colleague Alice.
Thank you, Anu. Hello, everyone. I'm Alice Vangel. I'm from Plan Bleu, and welcome to our breakout session from the Natural Heritage Mission. This breakout session will focus on policy recommendations that we have built on terrestrial and freshwater ecosystem, and for which we will need your inputs. So after a quick presentation of the presentation, we will dive into a more interactive session to gather your feedbacks and inputs on a way to consolidate them with concrete solutions and tools. So just moving on very quickly on the international policy frameworks on restoration, as I'm sure you're all aware of already. We have aligned our policy recommendation, of course, on the international framework of the Global Biodiversity Framework, Target 2, which is aiming at restoring 30% of the degraded terrestrial and inland water and coastal and marine ecosystem by 2030. At EU level, from the restoration is framed on mainly through the Nature Restoration Regulation that operationalize the GBF Target 2 and the new EU Ocean Pact, one of whose priorities to restore ocean health. And also, it is framed under the Mediterranean Strategy for Sustainable Development, running from 2026 to 2035, which Objectives 2 is focused on the restoration of marine and coastal ecosystems. Moving from these international policy frameworks at the NHM level, we address nature conservation through main 4 thematics, which drive the work of the mission and the coordination with the thematic project, which is the area-based conservation, climate change adaptation at local level, evaluating the socio-economic importance of biodiversity, and ecosystem restoration and nature-based solutions. Each of these thematic addressing the main GBF global targets for 2030. Now, as Maria-Helena has presented during the plenary session, the last 2 years, the Natural Heritage Mission has focused on ecosystem restoration following the major EU policy momentum of the adoption of the EU Nature Restoration Regulation and the development of the nature restoration plans. Last year, as presented by Maria-Helena, we have focused mainly on marine and coastal ecosystem restoration, where you can find the policy recommendation in our website. And so this year, still focusing on policy on ecosystem restoration, we have focused on terrestrial and freshwater ecosystems, mainly forests and wetlands. Okay, so these policy recommendations have been built through different steps. First draft of the policy recommendation was developed based on policy insights from 4 thematic projects from the NHM from the NHM targeting forest and wetland restoration. We have presented the first draft during the NHM annual institutional dialogue last month in Barcelona, where we have presented the drafted and consolidated the recommendations through a discussion with the audience coming from both shores of the Mediterranean, mainly from Morocco, Lebanon, Tunisia, and Turkey. And today's goal is to gather solutions and tools from practitioners from all around the Med to uptake these recommendations, to give policymakers the tools and solutions to turn these recommendations into action. And once they will be finalized, we will disseminate these recommendations in policy events around the Med. They will be available for you to be presented or shared with policymakers. And please don't hesitate to reach out to us if you have any opportunities, if you would like some support to present these recommendations to your network. And now moving on to the actual policy recommendations, we have developed 10 recommendations that are structured around 5 principles. The first one focuses on integrated planning. Here, the key message is the need to better connect land, freshwater, coastal, and marine ecosystems through a source-to-sea approach that embeds restoration into science-based spatial planning, improving coordination across all governance levels, and fully recognizing the roles of wetlands and forests in land use, climate, and biodiversity policies to strengthen Mediterranean resilience. The second principle focuses on inclusive and participatory governance and emphasizing on empowering local communities through co-management approaches, turning citizens into active stewards of restoration. It also calls for fair and inclusive participation throughout the entire restoration process, with special attention to vulnerable groups. The third principle relates to innovation, financing, and knowledge systems. This includes developing innovative and sustainable financing mechanisms involving both public and private actors, promoting user-friendly technologies to support decision-making and restoration on the ground, and building a strong research and training agenda that encourages knowledge co-creation, long-term monitoring, and open data. The fourth principle addresses transboundary governance and peace building. Here, restoration is framed as a solution for transboundary cooperation. By preserving and restoring shared natural resources, it can help reduce tensions and conflicts over shared ecosystems. And finally, the fifth principle is about rebuilding trust. This means strengthening accountability and transparency into policy processes in line with the existing legal frameworks so that decision makers are accountable to citizens and restoration efforts are credible and durable over time. So that's about the policy recommendation. They will be shared through the chat so you can have access to them. And now to update this recommendation in a concrete way, we have identified 4 areas of action that will support the implementation of these recommendations, which is the integrated governance, inclusive participation, innovation and financing, and capacity building. And this is where we need your support to give us feedbacks on tools and solutions that you have been working on or you have experience with that will help decision makers to uptake this and implement these recommendations for each area of action. And here are some examples of territorial solutions and tools that have been developed through the thematic project of the Natural Heritage Mission. For integrated governance, for instance, some projects have been developing wetlands contracts or stewardship agreements that have been tested on the ground that are ready to be upscaled. On inclusive participation, we have participatory methodologies such as the democracy labs and the scenario workshop and adaptation pathways that will help local authorities or regional authorities to develop coastal and regional strategies in a participatory way. For innovation and financing, projects have developed nature credit schemes, payment for environmental services, or geospatial and digital monitoring systems, such as the FAO Firm platform. And on the capacity building, well, we have the Interreg Euro-MED Academy that is still building, but it will be also available as a tool for building capacity around practitioners around the MED. And now I will pass the floor to my colleague Arno for getting your inputs and feedbacks to these recommendations. Thank you all.
Thank you very much, Alice. So we have planned a short interactive exercise, which will consist of a Slido, where we will ask you specific questions for getting a little bit into examples and practices or lessons or other initiatives related to the recommendations, and to expand on the territorial solutions, which is a section in the document which will feature and showcase specific examples, concrete solutions and tools. So let's dive into it. Get your phones ready, or you can also use the link which will appear in the next slide when the Slido will start. So you can either join that slido.com and then typing in the code that you see here, or you can use directly the QR code, and we will see it directly when you're connected. So first, what we would like to know is, where are you connecting from, to understand a bit the audience and what geographical area you're in. So we will wait maybe 2 minutes for participants to connect and tell us a bit where you're connecting from. Sevilla, Spain, Greece, Italy, Spain, Barcelona is well represented, Greece, Portugal, Andalusia. So we see it now live with 6 people from Spain, Palestine, Spain, Sevilla. It's a competition between Barcelona and Sevilla. France. Okay, 19 people connected. Okay, let's move to the next question. What is the organization you represent? If you could kindly type the name and the type of organization, whether it is an NGO, an authority, international organization, or else. Lega Ambiente, an Italian NGO. So colleagues from Association of Parks in Bulgaria, Palestinian Wastewater Engineers Organization, FAMP, Andalusia Ministry of Tourism, Region of Crete, Biodiversity Office, France, NGOs. So we cover a wide range of categories and organizations here. 14, 16 people. So maybe 30 seconds more. A consulting company, B-Link, ETC UMA. So lots of partners also from the Natural Heritage Mission. National Nature Park, State Administration. Okay, thank you very much, everyone. Now moving more to policy focus. We would like to hear from you on what local solutions can help translate these policy recommendations into concrete action on conservation or specific restoration projects in areas that have been identified and prioritized as in need of restoration. What are the main solutions that you're aware of or that you're working on that could contribute to implementing those policy recommendations. Let's spend 2 minutes here on this one. If you have any issues accessing the Slido, just write in the chat and our colleagues will check it and then support you. I don't see anyone yet on the poll. Integrating climate change into municipal development plans. It's very relevant. They need the skills, they need technical skills to do that. Often municipalities, depending on the size, lack the human resources or the organizational capacity to do that. Coordination, municipal climate plans, and stewardship agreements. So the role of the municipality here comes back again. It's quite central to drive local restoration actions. National adoption of set recommendations into law, plus mechanism to track and measure restoration on a local level. Make sure you connect with the local actors that really can change something. Core mission of any project. Yes, that's right. And connecting with the key stakeholders. Decentralization on environmental management schemes. All right. Let's give 30 seconds more and then moving to the next question. Let's try to finish at 30 so that we can also have 10 minutes to discuss and get your perspective. Local adaptation plan involving stakeholders through participatory processes, focusing on biodiversity protection and socioeconomic activities, component on public health, integrated into long-term climate resilience. Great if you can also use the key policy recommendation in your work. This is what they are for. They are coming from the thematic projects. Financial instruments, indeed, finance is key. Okay, well, thank you for that. Let's move to the next question. You can still answer, I guess. Okay, here's the next question. Now we would like you to think about your region, your area. You can think at your country level, but try to think of how can these policy recommendations be operationalized in your context. So it's also thinking about what are the main barriers. Let's spend a minute and a half here. Need a strong coordination between environmental issues and tourism issues in Andalusia. So connecting environmental stakeholders and key actors with tourism. So this requires coordination among actors, connecting those two topics and having sometimes hard conversations over development projects, political and territorial coordination, including civil society. I see a correction for Andalusia. It's between both ministries. So making sure that the departments and the directorates talk to each other also on these issues. Yeah, working on informing and educating local stakeholders on the meaning, need and value of these recommendations. Okay, let's move on. Cooperation in the Mediterranean. We would like to hear from you on what opportunities exist for joint actions or pilot transfers across the Mediterranean. What are the main levers we can use to have a bigger impact? Which initiatives should we connect? We saw that there are several programs working on the same issues. How can they be connected better? Should it be at project level, at program levels, both? Any example that underline this? It is 28, so we will stop in 2 minutes. So maybe let's spend a minute here. A joint call for natural heritage, like the upcoming call for sustainable tourism. Maybe, do you mean between Interreg or Euro-MED and NextMed? European programs are the biggest. Are there any other international instruments that can be mobilized beyond EU-funded programs, community of practices, or cooperation mechanisms, building communities of practice? How do we make sure that they survive after project ends? I think this is something that I keep asking myself. So cross-border, also involving Prima, yes, very important, I think. There are cross-cutting teams as well in Prima on agriculture and water. Decentralized cooperation. Or Andalusia is working on adaptation to climate change, building indicators to measure the state of the art. Shared event between programs, allowing projects and to meet and exchange. Okay, well, thank you very much. Maybe this last question, 30 seconds or a minute. I think we don't have many representatives we don't have any representative actually from the Maghreb region. We have our colleague from Palestine here. So let's try to think a bit about this question. It was initially designed more for our colleagues from the Maghreb and the Mashriq regions, of course. Should it be through international agreements, local agreements, mechanisms between two countries with bilateral cooperation, which involves then different levels of cooperation? Mentoring and twinning programs? Yeah. Twinning agreement again. This is a starting point for cooperation on environmental issues, cultural issues, socioeconomic, cultural practices, sharing knowledge. Okay, well, let's stop it here. Sorry we couldn't go to the end of this poll, but we would like to have maybe 10 minutes now of discussions and take you off the screen, or let's say take you off the poll, and let's try more to interact now. So I'll stop here. Thank you very much for your answers. They will be taken into account. So we have to go back at 40 to the plenary. So if you have any questions or would like to share any initiatives, now would be a good moment, and then we can give 5 minutes to our colleague Lucia Prieto-Fuses from IUCN Mediterranean Cooperation Center she will synthesize the main ideas and next steps, and she will link back to the plenary and present what happened in this breakout session. So the floor is open for any contributions, any additional thoughts.
May I?
Yes, Vincent, sure.
Yes, of course. Well, you've been there, all of you, before when I presented the program in general and also the general alignment of our project with the 4 missions. So you have seen that we have listed a certain number of projects. We have actually very great project with the high expectation that we have with, and in fact, some of them are already linked with Interreg Euro-MED and very much linked with Union for the Mediterranean, like those that we are financing in the topic of protecting the natural sea, the natural water. And especially we have MED-PROACT, we have MED-GCARP, Share for MED. So in this topic, I think it will be one of the topics where the program, the Interreg Next MED program, will be the stronger. And I'm sure that there will be strong connections. There are already connections, but there will be stronger connections to be made with you guys very soon. Also, high expectations on the 2 projects that we have dealing with fires. So I don't know by heart exactly the content of each one of your missions. I don't remember, but I think that fires were included, right, in your mission. So there we have 2 projects also run by an Italian lead partner and lead partner from Cyprus, where we have, I think, good chances to reach not good results, because in fact, good results is the minimum level. We're not so much interested in good projects. We are interested in exceptional projects, and that is what we want for them. And then you will see in the slide that I have shared and that you will receive that we have 2 use-oriented projects on the topic of this year mission, which I think it will be plenty interesting for you to reach them and to see how different they are from standard projects, because our standard projects, by the end of the day, are a bit similar to Euro-MED projects, so it's not so different. But here we have a certain number with eight projects that clearly have to be different and that have to bring something new, a new vision, a new approach. And still, for us, it's new. It was a challenge when we open or call for proposal to use actors. So we're still waiting, of course, for a few results, but high expectations there too. And I invite you, of course, to contact them. So my message is easy, frankly. It would be you have all the contacts of the projects in the website. Soon, in a couple of months, sorry, maybe bit more. You will have also the new coming projects of the project on green transition. So maybe you will have around 100 projects at disposal available for your cooperation by mid 2026. That means hundreds of partners that are basically waiting for you because in the southern Mediterranean, there are not so many occasions and many programs with whom they can cooperate. There is Prima, which is a program which is quite similar to us, but not in cooperation, but same coverage, all the topics, but similar. And then we have Italia, Tunisia for the Tunisian partners, but that's pretty much all. Of course, Tunisian organizations can participate in Horizon, and Egypt now is also signed an agreement with our Horizon, but that's something different, right? It's more for the interest of researcher. It's pure research. Normally, it's not very much what we're doing. So I'm pretty much sure that they will receive you well if you reach them. That they will be happy to join your platforms, and of course that they will be able to start cooperating. What I mentioned before is that when you go to them, take into account that some will understand everything that you say, and some will understand nothing. So, especially if you come with something which is too conceptual, because Euro-MED is much more advanced in concepts than Interreg NextMed, because we have actors that still have no experience. Especially, for example, if we think about Algeria, we have some actors from Algeria. We will have more in the future, but they are totally new. So we are explaining to them what's the point of cooperating. So it's a bit hard to tell them about missions, horizontal platform governance. Not easy, but okay. Just be aware of this. You have to address the different type of partners with the level of knowledge that they have, of course. But very much welcome. And if we can do anything for you, of course, me at the branch office, Western Mediterranean, the Joint Secretariat, of course, and the Managing Authority will be happy to contribute.
Thank you very much, Vincent. I'll pass the floor to Christophe and Agathe.
Okay. No, it's just thank you for this observation. And I think what I just wanted to add is that you are already, because we are trying from the program side, of course, always to give you more tools for cooperation. But of course, you are already from your side, from the project side or from the partner side, you are already on the ground, you're already doing this. So this is the bottom up that is as important as from our side, from the program side, to launch a joint call, is to work on the ground together, and you have this experience. So we need you also to continue with your groundwork. This bottom up is, if not more important, is as important as what we can do from the project side. Just to add.
Well, thank you very much. This is well taken into account. I think there are great links to be made between the different programs. We'll go back to the plenary, where we will have a final session with a synthesis of what happened, what unfolded in this session. So thank you very much for participating in in the breakout and contributing to the Slido. We'll take this into account and try to integrate as much as possible key recommendations that you have made into the final document that we can expect for early in 2026. I guess we'll have to close this meeting and reopen the other one since it's two separate links. So I invite you to do that, and Lucia will represent us in the plenary. Thank you very much, and see you back in the plenary.